replay. And if you're watching this elsewhere, grateful to have you guys. Hey, but if you're here live with us, give us a big wave or throw a 5 in the comments. Welcome to our Wellness 360 Live. This is hosted by the Warrior Movement and in our wonderful Wellness 360 community. I have the honor of co-hosting today with Coach Pam here. I'm going to bring you up real quick. I'll talk with you more in a bit. But Pam, how you doing? I'll ask you to unmute. I need to make
doing great. Thank you, James.
Awesome. And thank you for the honor of being here today. We have some really important topics today. But Pam, what's the topic we're all going to be talking about today?
Diabetes. What it is and what it isn't.
Oh my gosh. Okay. And this is a very big topic and we'll dive into it. Pam, do you know off the top of your head how many people suffer with either diabetes, prediabetes, anything related?
Yes. 1 in 3.
Wow.
So if you guys look to your left, look to the right, you can see 3 people. It's wow. one of the 3.
That's crazy. You know, in fact, it's a very important topic today we're going to talk all about it. And more importantly, what we can do about it, whether it's for you, whether it's for your family, your friends. But in fact, who here knows somebody that has struggled with high blood sugar, A1C, diabetes, prediabetes? Give me a wave or put a me in the comments below. Super important. And I believe today's information literally could be life-saving. And with that, I just want to put a disclaimer. Nothing we say here today is meant to treat, diagnose, or cure anything, but we will talk about some things that we've learned, that Pam's learned. I'm grateful to have her on from her medical background. That could be very actionable and helpful information as well too. So by the end of this, hey, if you see opportunities for yourself to better yourself or other people, definitely we'll give you those opportunities to be able to share. But if we are meeting for the first time, just so we're not complete strangers, my name is James Zhang. I'm one of the co-founders of the Wellness 360 community. I've been in the wellness space for over a decade. And actually for the past 12 years, specifically, I stumbled upon these things now it's called skinny drops, but it does a lot more than that, a body balancing formula. Some of you have used this. This is your first time using it. I lost 25 pounds in 40 days with no exercise. And actually, Pam, the biggest thing that I noticed is, I was in my 20s and I felt like I could eat anything that I wanted to. I didn't know that I had sugar addictions. I grew up on the standard American diet. I grew up thinking that honey bunches of oats cereal was healthy. I thought that Diet Coke was healthy. Like I thought ketchup was healthy. No joke. Like literally, I thought ketchup was healthy. And when I used the drops, yes, I lost weight, but the biggest thing I noticed was my sugar cravings went away. I'm like, that's so interesting. We'll talk about that in a bit. And for the past 12 years, we were actually one of the first partners to partner up with this brand. We've transformed people's lives, balanced their bodies for the last 12 years all around the world. And we love to help you as well, too. In fact, if you've used these drops, put in the chat, what are some of the positive benefits that you've received, whether it's weight or non-scale victories or better energy or whatever that it is. But it's a very big thing. It helps with a lot of things, but today we're going to address one in particular. Pam, I love to bring you up here to share your story because yours deals specifically with the topic today.
Absolutely, James. Yes, thanks for allowing me to share. Well, you guys can see me on this picture on the left here. I had just retired from nursing, a 40-year career. I was apartment manager of a newborn intensive care unit. And all of those things that you see in that top left-hand corner were issues for me, including the one I want to point it out is that A1C. It was in the 6 range when I retired. And I knew that if I didn't get my weight back in order, that I was not going to enjoy my retirement very much. So literally 10 days later, I found these amazing skinny drops from one of those young ladies you saw in the picture a minute ago. I hopped on it and all of my issues went away. And I'll talk more about it as I go on. But wow, that's my start. And that's where I began.
That's huge. Congratulations, Pam. Super huge. Congrats if you see her now. How young are you now, Pam?
I will be 70 this year.
70 this year.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Man, well, huge celebration this year is due right there, right? So you are literally a living embodiment of wellness, what Wellness 360 is all about. but also you have a huge medical background, right? So it's interesting because you help people with their health. You're in that profession, and yet you found yourself in a place that you weren't healthy yourself too. But since then, you've made a transition from sick care into well care, and I thank you for that. Pam is also on this company's wellness council, so she regularly speaks with the formulators, the scientists, the smart people that make sure that our solutions are good and everything. So I have a couple questions for you, Pam, as we go into this.
Mhm.
If you have any questions as we go along, by the way, throw them in the chat. We're looking through this. I love seeing all the testimonials of what people have been benefited from these drops as well, too. The drops are a tool. We'll talk about that in a bit. But Pam, so, okay, what is A1C? Like, what the heck is that?
It's our hemoglobin and how glucose binds to our blood, our red blood cells. It usually is like a snapshot of 2 to 3 months that A1C number comes from.
Okay, gotcha. So it's a signal of how much sugar's in the body, basically, in the
Correct.
bloodstream
In our
itself.
blood cells, yes.
So higher means you have higher blood sugar, which leads all to types of issues. And do
Correct.
you know I don't know if you know top of your head or anything. Is there like a typical range of what's high and stuff like that?
It's not it varies depending upon what chart you're looking at, but normally below 5.7 or under 6 is okay. And then as you get up, there's actually a middle stage, which I'll talk about. And then above 6.5, you're diagnosed as having diabetes and needing to do something about it.
Gotcha. So these are important to know because, this is kind of how I felt when I was, when I hear about diabetes, when I wasn't educated, I'm like, my notion was, diabetes is genetic. It just happens, and it happens to a lot of people, and you can't really do much about it. But there's different types of diabetes from what it
Yes.
seems like. Is that right, Pam? So
Yeah.
what's one of the first types of diabetes?
Well, the first one, and I say it's the first one because it generally, or we used to call it juvenile diabetes back in the olden days because it's what hit children. And it's and it's only 5 to 10% of the population. So there's not a lot of people who actually have type 1, and it's an autoimmune disease. So what it means is our body starts attacking by mistake, because our body should never attack its own self, and it stops it from making insulin. And so the body has no insulin in it. There's absolutely no cure. And the only way these people, and it usually occurs suddenly. So in the hospital, we used to see kids popping in with 400, 500 blood sugar levels. And but now it also happens in adults as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It just shuts down.
I have a good friend of mine, and he was a partner in this company before. And I remember one day, he was like always really fit. One day, just got super faint, and he just like started losing weight over the months. We're like, what happened? Turns out, like what you mentioned, he was in his 20s already, and he got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And you cannot cure it right now.
Nope.
Christine, hey, thanks for putting in the chat. You're gonna love tonight for sure. But type 1 is very rare. But there's things to do to manage it, healthier lifestyle, things like that. But you cannot reverse it currently, at least. So that's kind of where that is. So that's type 1. It's a genetic thing.
I just want to say the thing of technology. People with type 1, it's funny how they manage it nowadays. They have a glucose meter that's internal, and it just reads out. Mostly everything comes across on your cell phone. And they have an insulin pump inside their body that monitors. It's so monitoring your blood sugar levels, and then it's shooting out insulin throughout the day. It's super crazy.
It's an automatic system that regulates your insulin.
Oh, inside your body. Yeah, you don't even know. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, cool. So they have ways to manage it, but that's type 1, but most people don't deal with that, like what you mentioned. Most of them are dealing with the other types of diabetes. And what we hear is type 2 diabetes. Like that's, I think, more commonplace. But what's that?
Yeah. So type 2 is actually diabetes. But before we get to type 2, I want to talk about the in-between. So when your blood sugar level starts going up in that middle range, you really come to a fork in your road. and you have a choice, just like driving a car. You can go left or right, backwards, forwards, do whatever you want. But pre-diabetes usually hits us about age 45, but of course that's a usual. It could be at any age range. And when you come to that fork in the road, you have a choice. You can ignore it. You can just continue to eat what you're eating, enjoy your sugar, just ignore it. And eventually it's going to lead to type 2. Or you can decide, I'm going to do something about it. I know it's hereditary. I know it was hereditary in my family. When I was at that fork in the road, when I retired, I knew that I was going to follow my mommy's footsteps and my daddy and everybody else in my family, or I'm going to take control of it. And each and every one of us on the phone on this call today, we have that opportunity. If it's you, or if you know somebody that's at that borderline, let's do something about it. Let's not have to go in the wrong direction. That's what we have, that GPS inside of it, that internal clock that tells us what it is we need to do.
Gotcha. So what causes, because I just thought all diabetes and blood sugar issues, like this was my mindset growing up. I don't know if anyone relates to me. My family was very traditional medicine, and nothing against traditional Western medicine, but they're like, there's a pill for every ill. Things just happen to your body as you get older. And what do? You just got to like take some medicine. That's just what it is. I thought that I had no control over these things that happen, but obviously there is one part that is genetic, but it sounds like what you're saying is most of it isn't. Like, what are some of the things that lead into higher blood sugar, higher A1C, and prediabetes and type 2 diabetes?
Well, I think most of us know the number one cause is being overweight. And Dr. Strand once said, I heard him a couple months ago, he said, it's your waist size. Look at that. So for women, if your waist size is over 26, men over 36, you could be pre-diabetic. You should follow it. But there's many warning signs, but the three major ones is increased urine, increased thirst, and increased hunger. So when you see those people who feel like they can just eat anything and they're just popping all that food and they're blowing up, there is a reason for that. And when you're waking up in the middle of the night and you're not 70 years old and you haven't had a bunch of children and all of that, then you know that maybe something might be wrong. You could be getting sleepy, tired, lethargic, depressed. I mean, there's so many other signs. But really, it's being overweight. It's that visceral fat that we talk about that are holding on, that junk in our trunk in our middle section. And and so there's a solution for it, but that's what it means. Those are your first signs. You'll know it because your A1C is climbing up higher, and it's time to do something.
So this isn't about a looks thing at all, right? Of course, I'm sure we'd all agree. We want to look good, of course. We want to feel good, but this is about health. This is about wellness. So it's not just, waist size for for photos. These are some indicators. Right. So for every one of us that are on this line, whether for you or the people around you, like I'm taking a list. I'm like, am I over 36 waist size for men? Am I over 26 for women? These are just signs, right? Am I noticing more frequent urination, more hunger, and more, what was the other one you said?
Thirsty.
More thirsty. So if you start noticing these, I'm like, all right, be mindful. These are signs that blood sugar levels are going higher and A1C is probably going higher. And it's signs that your body is telling you, hey, do something, right? So typically disease doesn't just happen overnight, but you can absolutely change these things around. You mentioned somebody, there's a famous doctor, a traditional trained physician, and then he turned into nutritional medicine, Dr. Ray Strand. He also helps people. His focus is actually reversing type 2 diabetes, which, by the way, if anyone was not aware, Pam, correct me if I'm wrong, pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes are not just preventable, but they're also reversible. Is that right?
That's correct. That's correct.
So there's good news today.
Yes.
All right. So put a yes in the comments if you're excited that there's a way that we can actually do something about these. Okay. This is not meant to be a sad thing. You don't have to be the statistic, So awesome. Anything else you want to talk on type 2 diabetes or anything on this slide itself, or?
Yeah, just that the type 2, it's insulin resistant. And I know Angie does a good job of talking about that on this call as well. But it's the buildup of fat in our cells. And we're not meant to store fat in our bodies. We're not chipmunks. And so our body produces insulin, but maybe not quite enough. But the thing about it, and if your once you get into full-on diabetes, your doctor usually will put you on medication. I just want to say, we don't diagnose or treat anything. If your doctor puts you on medication, stay on it. They'll redo your lab values because they want to see how that medication is working. You take that fat off, and the doctor will be able to take you off.
Gotcha. Perfect. So on insulin resistance, who here's heard of the word insulin resistance before, right? Give me a wave or put a me in the comments below. It's important to understand this dynamic because when we talk about solutions, you basically just want to reverse the process. So insulin is your sugar storage hormone in your body. And what happens when you eat sugar, carbs, it spikes up your insulin, and then insulin's supposed to take it out of your bloodstream. But it sounds like what you're saying, Pam, when you do it too much, too often, you don't have enough insulin to just like grab it. Is that what you're saying?
You don't have enough. Like if you could imagine, you're sitting there and you're stuffing and you're trying to do something to prevent it from going in, it's coming in way too fast. You don't have a chance to get it back out again, and it builds up in our cells.
Gotcha. Makes sense. So yeah, insulin resistance is where you don't want to be, but we can definitely retrain the body from there, because you did it as well too. I mean, your A1C levels went down and you haven't had issues since then as well too. So what are some things that we can do to start to turn this around?
Well, the number one thing, as I mentioned, losing weight, at least taking off that first 10, 20 pounds is super helpful. So the diet of choice is a low glycemic. It's exactly what's in our skinny drops. When you look at what we say to take, it's exactly what's in there. Is a low glycemic diet. So it's eating sugars, fruits that are lower in sugar, like your berries, instead of the ones that are super juicy, like maybe a mango or a banana is really too sweet for people to eat. So changing our diet, number one, making sure we drink plenty of water, and exercising. So just low impact. When you're obese, you may not want to do anything but just walking, swimming, just that low impact aerobic exercises.
Gotcha.
And
yeah,
and these skinny drops. And why? So I mentioned we don't treat or cure, but these help us with our cravings. So if we can get those cravings for sugar down, which is what they did for me when I first got on, because I was addicted to chocolate and caffeine, just being a nurse and all that. So taking these drops really helped to lower our to get rid of our cravings, and that made all the difference in the world. And of course, with eating the right proper foods and all of that as well.
Yeah, because you look at that list of foods we're supposed to eat, I think we can all agree it's like, duh, like we should do that, but we don't, because let's be honest, sugar tastes way better than I don't know, broccoli or something, you know. So technically broccoli is also sugar when it metabolizes and stuff, but but you're right though, like being addicted to sugars is a real thing. It's more addictive to the brain than cocaine is. Who here's ever tried to eat just one French fry before, by the way, or one chip? Like, it does not work, right? So you take the drops, and what are these drops? Like, what's in them? What are some of the benefits that they do?
So they're homeopathic drops. So I just want to say that they don't have contain any medication, but they just help us with balancing our hormones, and to just giving it and helping us. They have adaptogenic herbs. They help to reset our metabolism to a new low weight. They just assist us with eating and being able to maintain that healthy diet.
Makes sense. Okay, super good. Christine had a question, really good question. The drops are totally fine for anybody. There's no contraindications, medicines, illnesses. Speak with your medical professional if you have some questions, though. But there are two groups that we recommend don't take it, which is who are the ones that should not take this, Pam?
Pregnant mommies and nursing mommies. So it does have a little bit of green tea. You want your baby to get every good thing that you're putting in. So all your protein, all of your carbs, all of that needs to go to our babies. That the best milk for babies is breast milk. So we don't want you to skimp or to take away what needs to go not only for you. That's why they say most often is moms eat twice as much, because they're eating for them and their babies. So you definitely don't want to take it when you're pregnant.
Absolutely.
We don't want your
However,
milk supply up. Yeah. Pardon me?
If you are pregnant, you're not alone. Like, I know there are things like gestational diabetes, things like that. However, one thing, and I know you've done some due diligence on this too, Tahitian noni juice, anyone can take this. There's so much documented science on this one juice, but have you looked into anything, Pam, when it comes to noni dealing with diabetes before?
Well, so public noni's been around thousands of years, and there's so many published articles in PubMed that suggest that it is safe to that it helps with it. So the ingredients that are inside of it, that noni fruit, it has iridoids in it, and those iridoids make a big difference in helping to keep your blood sugar and your blood levels even.
Gotcha. I call it don't quote me on this. This is not a medical claim, but a shot a day keeps a doctor away. Or maybe 2 shots or something, right? So this is something anyone can take, kids can take, pregnant moms can take. I take this single day, super helpful. And there are definitely studies which you can look for yourself, have fun with that, which have been super beneficial, you know? So the drops, though, are definitely a great option to help people get onto the healthier lifestyle, speed up the journey to being able to balance these things and everything as well. Any other notes on the drops? I also know we have quite a few stories that we'll share too, but
we do. We have tons of people that have had success, but I just want to say, once you lower your blood sugar, it doesn't have to go back up again. Once you, like you say, get rid of those sugar, that's the biggest tip I can leave you with, is that they'll help to accelerate that loss. Women usually lose about a half a pound a day, men about a pound a day. And once you're finished you don't have to stay on them. You really have lost the craving for the sweets. And when you do drink something sweet or eat something sweet, it doesn't even taste good anymore. So, and you don't have to worry about diabetes unless you go back to that bad behavior, which who wants to do that?
Exactly. And that's our goal, to help you control your body again so that the miracles can happen. It's not going to be overnight, but you know, Lenny, you were around. I mean, when you had your transformation around with Lenny, but Lenny, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, he was a busy lawyer, had all types of issues. And he's Filipino. So if you know Filipinos, like a lot of times there's a lot of issues in certain demographics where there's more diabetes. And it's really just because of culture and lifestyle. He was overweight. He had definitely greater than a 36 waistline. I've never asked him about his urination, but I'm sure he was urinating more. he was diabetic. He was on 3 diabetes medicines. So he used the drops, and I think it took around a year. Do you remember how long his journey was?
Oh, I don't even think it was that long. I think it was about 4 or 6 months. I actually started the same time he did.
Wow.
So as we were going through, contests and stuff, he was right along there with me.
Wow. So
Pretty
let's
quick.
call it 6 months max. He not only lost like 46 pounds or 43 pounds, but he got off of not 1, not 2, but all 3 diabetes medications because his doctor said, hey, things are looking better. And we're not saying it's the drops that did it. You know, it's just doing the right things for your body. You give it a couple months, you give it 6 months, even if it takes a year. I mean, come on, if you can reverse diabetes and change the trajectory for you and your family, that's a major, major thing, you know? And we also have, I know she's driving right now, but she's on the line. Eva Chavez literally made this, but this was just within this last month. She started using these drops, and 6 months later, she went to her doctors, and the doctor said she is no longer diabetic. Come on.
Mhm.
Congratulations.
Mhm.
That's what I'm talking about, But Pam, any other notes on these stories here?
No, just, it doesn't even matter. Just stay on it. Your doctor will take you off. And that's the best feeling in the world. Because isn't the whole point of all of this? Don't we all just want to die young at a very old age?
Absolutely. Love it, Pam. Guys, let's give Pam a big round of applause. Thanks for all your wisdom today. Super helpful. I love how you just simplified it all to this honestly very scary topic because of all the confusion out there. But today just really dismantled that. So I hope that that was very powerful for anybody as well too. So with that, what are some next steps? Some of you might be thinking already, well, man, I need to try these drops, or I know someone that needs to do it. If so, talk to your friend right after this so we can get you started on this journey. Welcome to our community. Anyone here is more than welcome to join us. I just put it into the chat room, but we have a lot of support there. You have amazing professionals like Pam there, a lot of wellness advisors that are on this line and in the group as well too. Just a whole community to just support each other in our wellness. We have amazing tools, but our goal is just to be able to offer everything so that you can transform to whatever that goal is. But there might be some of others as well too, where you're like, man, I wouldn't mind using these products for a couple of months. Maybe you have goals like that, or maybe you knew somebody, you're like, they need to hear this information. In fact, as you were going through today, did any one of you had someone's name come to mind? We're like, they need to hear this, right? Give me a wave or put a one in the comments if you're like, yeah, I do. Vern does, Diane did, Nichelle did, Colleen did, right? So if that's the case, something you might want to consider, there's some pretty cool perks where you can partner with this company for a one-time lifetime $30 membership. You actually get bigger discounts, and you now have the ability to refer and share. And when you do, you can earn credit. You can actually be able to get enough. This is a popular one. Some people like to get the membership and grab a 4-pack of the drops because you get them for way cheaper per set. Usually they're $150 a month. For these, you get them for around $100 a month for 4 of them. If you share 3 of them, you get yours paid for. So that's very popular for a lot of people. So regardless of what it is, talk to your friend after this for more information. Join our group so you can join us with the fun, ask your questions there, share your stories. I've been seeing a lot of buzz, Pam, just in the last couple of days. People starting their journey, people asking questions, people sharing their results and their updates. We're seeing so many amazing stories. They're just empowering and inspiring. And the last thing is this, is for those of you that are interested, there's an interesting program with this company that if you have a passion to help other people, if you are looking for a fun adventure, and if you also wouldn't mind a fun side hustle, something to put $500 in your pocket, or maybe even something more significant, we found ways to actually leverage social media with this, and people are getting to 6 figures in 6 months even. So regardless of what that is, tomorrow, come back on, same link, same time. But we have 2 amazing superstars, Maria and Thea, and they're going to be sharing their stories on why they started as a customer and they became a partner. And they're one of our fastest growing leaders now in this organization. All right, everybody. But other than that, Pam, thank you so much for all of your amazing wisdom. And everybody here, thank you for your time. Get back with your friend right after this. I hope this was helpful. You can catch the replay in our Wellness 360 group as well too. Feel free to mute yourself and have